It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my third tier list video in a row. For those who weren't aware, I was on vacation. So while I was on vacation, I had two videos go up while I was gone. That being a Digimon anime tier list and a Garo series tier list. And those were really fun, and I enjoyed doing those, especially because I can edit while making them. Because I just render out this video, and then boom, there you go, video. So I found that was kind of a fun experience. So today I'm going to do another tier list, this time on Power Ranger primary Megazords. The reason why I'm doing this now instead of like putting out some other type of content is because that content takes time and I have not had the time yet. I got back from vacation and I'm still kind of recovering from vacation, which I know that sounds weird, but that's just how it is. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, getting up into production stuff, start working on that Star Trek Part 3, start working on an Ultraman video I have in the works. I also have another video that's probably going to go up before that, that is about toys I bought on my vacation. But in the meantime, I thought, hey, let's do Power Rangers tier list. And I did decide to do this in place of doing Power Rangers seasons because Dino Fury Season 1 just finished uploading all the episodes to Netflix, and I haven't had time to go and watch, or I haven't taken the time to go and watch the rest of the season. I've been watching other things because it's Halloween season, so I've just been watching really old horror movies, and by old I mean stuff that I love deeply. So, on that note, I haven't gotten around to Dino Fury Season 1's second half, but I will get there soon, and then I'll do a tier list for that between one of these other bigger projects. So, let's look at Megazords. So Megazord's funny subject because I love them. I think I almost started a series. I kind of half started a series that I might go back to at some point. I love Megazords, and so I thought, let's scrutinize them. And I did think for a second, I was like, ooh, should I do all the main Megazord combinations? And I was like totaling it up. It was like over 200 combos. And I was like, you know what? Let's just do the main Megazord for each season / movie. So there is a technicality here, but we will get to that. So basically, this is the primary Megazord for each series. Now, if the season didn't change its primary Megazord, but, you know, so it carried over from the previous one, it's still here. So, for example, the Samurai Megazord is representing Samurai and Super Samurai because they didn't change, like, they didn't make the Bullzord their primary Megazord, if that makes sense. So, their primary is still the Samurai. So, but then in the case of, like, Megaforce, their secondary Megazord came in the second season, Legendary Megazord for Super Megaforce, so that's included, just like with Mighty Morphin Seasons 1, 2, and 3. But if they did a primary Megazord switch, like in Season 3 Mighty Morphin, where the Shogun Megazord sort of took over for the Ninja Megazord, I'm just doing the Ninja Megazord. Same thing with Rescue Megazord for Turbo, just to streamline it. So it's like one Megazord per season. The two movies that have separate continuities also are represented. So I thought this would be fun. I'm just going to grade these S to D because I think that's the best way to do it. So obviously S tier is like the best, and then D tier is like the not the best. And yeah, I think this will be kind of fun. So a lot of my comments may be design based, just because I don't know, Megazords necessarily usually aren't characters. So there's not like the story factor as much as just the overall look and feel of them. I'm going to not talk about the toys. Like if I was doing a toy ranking, I'd get the toys out off the shelf and like just do like a normal top 10 or whatever. So yeah, that's that. So let's get started. So we're going to start off with the good old classic Dino Megazord. It has been renamed over the years to the Dino Megazord. It was originally just the Megazord because Power Rangers is going to be just a thing. So this one, I'm not a huge diehard MMPR guy, even though I did grow up on reruns of it, VHS tapes. I was born when Mighty Morphin was almost done. I was actually born like 2 weeks before the movie came out. So I'm more of in that like Turbo Space Galaxy crowd. So I did kind of like miss the boat on Mighty Morphin's initial run, but because of reruns and DVDs and VHS tapes, I've seen a lot of Mighty Morphin as a kid. Of course, I watched a lot of it now. So I do have an attachment, and specifically I do have emotional attachment to the original Megazord because I got that at a thrift store when I was very young. I actually got 2 of them, which is kind of weird. But one of them was missing parts that the other one had. So I actually have a complete vintage Dino Megazord. I got both horns, even both cannons, the sword, the shield, and the tusks from just having two as a kid. Were found at thrift stores. So that was completely irrelevant to what I was talking about. I also apologize for the cropping on some of these images. Tiermaker just cut the heads off of a bunch of Megazords. But the idea is you're supposed to know which one it is, not necessarily look at it. So, Dino Megazord, though, I gotta say, with all that preamble aside, because that was meaningless to what am I actually ranking it at, this is one of the coolest Megazord designs of all time, and I think that it's tangentially connected to the success of Power Rangers. Because I feel like, Saban was trying to get things going with Bioman, which has a great mecha design. But a lot of the mecha that come after aren't as visually cohesive as the Dino Megazord. Because this is, it's not like the perfect, one... It's like the Transformers Scramble City Combiner style of torso, arm, arm, leg, leg. But it's leg, leg, torso, and then one's the arms, one's the chest. It's a really cohesive design. And the fact it's got a tank mode built in, it's got a variety of animals, but it comes together as a single robot that looks like it's supposed to be one thing. I really like that, and I'm going to put it in the S tier. Because legitimately, I had a lot of fun with the toy as a kid, but I just think it's such a stellar design. And we've gotten so many toys of it, I know we get kind of sick of looking at it, but I think that we should always never forget that the Daijujin / Dino Megazord design is one of the absolute best Megazord designs we have ever seen. It's why it got a Soul Chigoken, because it is that good. Regardless of whatever you think of the show, that is a heck of an awesome robot design. So that one's going in the S tier. I respect it a lot. So next up we have the Thunder Megazord. Now this one, again, was going with the primary. Once they got the Thunder Megazord rolling, it's the whole armor, not just the Red Dragon Zord. But the Thunder Megazord is really cool because you have the Red Dragon Zord, and then you give him the armor of the Thunderzord Assault Team. And it's got kind of a unique flair to it that way. It's not just the parts coming together, it's like you can have that individual robot, and then you just armor him up, and then that's the whole team coming together. And I really like it. I really do. As many of you know, I bought the Super Sentai Artisan Dyrano, which was not a cheap beast. And I'm really glad I did. I love that thing. So I really do love this mecha. Design-wise, I think it's almost perfect. Because it's amazing because you think about it, you don't see any part of the Red Dragon Thunderzord as part of the robot. You see only the other four Zords. And the Red Dragon Thunderzord's just holding it, which is kind of neat. I guess you see the mouth of the warrior mode. But I'm also going to put this one S tier. I'm going to put this one just above the Dino Megazord because personally I like it more. So that's a personal thing here. Okay, so now we got to balance this out because we already had two stellar ones off the top. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie version of the Ninja Megazord. I'm counting this separate because it's a separate continuity. It's a different team thing. This CGI abomination, I have fond nostalgia for. Watching it, I don't think it's aged well. It's incredibly shiny. They were just oh, CG? Make it chrome! And I think that's something that was very evocative of early CG work, especially Transformers Beast Wars. Everybody was chromed out like crazy there. So I did kind of like how shiny it was. It kind of, as a kid, I correlated the shininess of the Megazord with the shininess of the action figures for the movie. But, overall, looking back on the design, it's obviously the Kakure Daishogun design, but Americanized. I love the transformation sequence. I gotta say, outside of the really weird-looking animation, the transformation sequence is really amazing because the actual cinematography work they did there to see, all the parts of it forming together. Because one of the things I love, well, I'll talk about this in a moment, I love the Ninja Megazord design. But it's a very simple transformation. And I like the way that the movie was oh yeah, so the panels open up and then the wolf legs compact and they go inside and then the panels close and it gives it a streamlined look. That's some really cool stuff. So because of that, I think the overall Megazord design, especially when you add the Falcon Zord, pretty damn ugly. But I appreciate its transformation sequence. So I'm going to put it in D because it is not a great design, but it's going to probably stay at the top of D because that transformation sequence is great. Alright, so next up, the Ninja Megazord TV version. I don't want to seem too much of a shill, but Again, I'm not like a huge diehard Mighty Morphin person, but yet I love the Mighty Morphin series of Megazords. I also do love Cocker Ranger. There's a little bias going on here. But I gotta say the Ninja Megazord is very streamlined, because even though it has like a very simple transformation, a lot of stuff just compacts really nice. And when the design is together, it's actually one that's translated to toys incredibly well, is that it has a really streamlined look. Because like the front frog legs fold into the back legs to make the legs of the Megazord. Then all the legs of the bear fold up and compact really nice. So you have a nice sleek robot that gives it kind of that ninja vibe, because it's not super bulky and it looks like it could fight. So this one is also going into S tier, just below Thunder, just above Dino. They're very close for me. I love them all a lot. Okay, so next one. This one's going to have no childhood bias. I did not get one of these toy-wise. I can't. I was only going to have one of toys. The Zeo Megazord I didn't have as a toy till I was late high school, when I finally got a deal on one. And I gotta say, it's an interesting design. One of the things I like about it is the color cohesion. Because a lot of the times with Megazords, because it's like, you know, each Zord will be based on that Ranger's color, then when they come together, they'll just be like a mismatch of colors. But what I gotta say here is that the Zeo Megazord comes together and is mostly blue, which is really cool. However, it makes the non-blue and gold parts stand out, like the green on the helmet on the waist, and then the red helmet just kind of looks a little bit of an eyesore, because it doesn't go with the rest of the cohesion of the rest of the body's going through. And I like the helmet gimmick, where it has different powers. It wasn't used, I think, a lot in the show, either Zeo or O-Ranger. And I think it could have been used more, because I think that was such a cool idea that, like, oh, each Ranger can like be the primary pilot, and it gets a different power based on that. So it's cool. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I love the overall cohesion. Again, I like the streamlinedness. It is amazing to me that we had Mecha this streamlined in the 90s, and then later Megazord just get to be like clustery messes where there's parts hanging out all over the place. That amazing. I'm like, I don't know how we got so far away from these really sleek, nice looking robots. I guess we'll talk about more of that later. So yeah, I'm going to put that one in B. That's pretty comfortable. All right, the Turbo Megazord. So the Turbo Megazord, this is going to just count movie and show, so it's the same continuity. I love the movie sequence. I got to say, if there's ever a Power Rangers Zord transformation that tops a Sentai one, it's the movie version of the Turbo Megazord. That one's amazing. Incredibly detailed model work. Very impressive stuff. So I love the Turbo Megazord, and I think I've loved it for a long time. Again, it has that visual cohesion. So like with the Zeo Megazord, I think it was going for one color too much. This one, you have kind of the, you know, different color arms, different color legs, and the different color middle torso. So you get all the colors represented, and I think that it was a good idea to go with white as opposed to pink for Pink Zord, because that gives it an overall better mecha look. So I'm going to put this one in the A tier. I think I would bump it to S. Maybe if it was, it's always weird because like on the toy, I don't think it's as bad, but on the suit, he always looks like he's got these weird like inward hips. So I think that's my only like gripe with it. But overall, I think it's a really nice design. Okay, now we talked about sleek Megazords, but the Astro Megazord is the sleekest ever because it's essentially a Headmaster Transformer. Plain and simple. It is one vehicle, and then the little head thing that comes out, and then they connect together. It's really nice, super sleek. I love the fact the Rangers got to travel in it. I think that that was something that predated Gokaiger. And Gokaiger, they flew around on the pirate ship all the time. But I want to say that, you know, before then, they didn't really have a transporting vehicle in Sentai that would, like, be their mecha as well. It wasn't a very common thing. I know in, you know, 5-Man, they had their base, and their base could fly, but they stayed in the base. It was mostly stationary. So with the Astro Megazord, the Rangers living on it, it also made it easy for them to go into battle because they had the ship wherever they went. And I love the design of it. It also combines really well with the Delta Megazord. Like, nothing was taken away from the Astro to make the Astro Delta Megazord. So I really do like it, and I'm going to put it in the S tier. Probably just under the Thunder. And it's because I think the Thunder's a little more impressive to me because it does combine 5 elements together like that. What the Astro Megazord is just really, really dang cool. Okay, so now I'm going to try to, like, take the bias off because here comes Lost Galaxy. For those that don't know, Lost Galaxy is my favorite season. You'll see this in the tier list. It will not be a surprise. I love Lost Galaxy deeply. Not only was it, like, was I the prime age to watch it as a kid, I just love the risks it takes as a series. And part of that was having sentient Zords, because the Galactabeasts are living creatures, and they transform to help the Rangers, and they turn into a more mechanized state. So what's kind of neat about that is that you have, and then the designs for Gingham Man were meant to be kind of a throwback to older Sentai designs from the 80s. That's why there's like a carrier mech, and there's all these other like just separate combining parts, but not anything that just like bulks up together. So with the Galaxy Megazord, I think that what's really cool about it is that, you know, you have kind of similar to Daijujin, you have, or the Dino Megazord, you have, you know, two parts become one thing, one part becomes most of another thing, one part becomes the torso, and then one part's just kind of an add-on. The Condor feels superfluous when you look at the design. It's like, oh, it's just wings on the back, right? But when you look at it, you realize that the feet have to connect in the middle, and I think it makes it a little more attached than the pterodactyl for the Dino Megazord. And I think that you know, has that visual cohesion of a team coming together, which I think is very important. So I do like the Galaxy Megazord a lot, but it does have kind of a weird wonkiness and chunkiness to it. That doesn't make it look, you know, it gives it that regal look, but I don't know if it necessarily like strikes me as well. So while I do love it, I'm going to put this in the A tier below Turbo. I think Turbo's got that better visual cohesion. I think it's what I'm looking for, is like that. How does it come together as a completed robot? Speaking of completed robots, we have the Lightspeed Rescue Megazord. I keep wanting to call it Rescue Megazord. It's not. That's the Turbo one. The Lightspeed Megazord. This one is got that really nice cohesion again. I love that you know, it also has like an extra mode where like the legs can just walk on their own, which I thought was such a cool idea, because it's like, oh hey, we need to put out a fire quick, like put the water tank on legs so it can just walk over to the fire, and then the fire truck, and then the, you know, the gyro thing is really cool. So I think that like the Lightspeed Megazord comes together really nice. It looks really cohesive, but I think the colors are a little all over the place. You know, you have the colors for each Ranger. Again, they really didn't want to like make pink Zords at this time, I've noticed. There really is no pink mecha components with most of these. But I think that definitely is something that benefited. It definitely looks a lot cooler. I think that personally, though, this is on a personal level, I do like the Super Train Megazord more. I like the Omega Megazord more than the Lightspeed. But I do like the way this one comes together. And I don't want to keep putting all these up at the top because I feel like it's making the list unbalanced. But you know what? I'm going to stick it above the Turbo, if it'll let me. Let's go. Let's put it there. Let's put it in A tier. Let's put it there. I think that's a fair top 7 right there. But yeah, let's go. Let's keep going. So the Time Force Megazord. Now I picked Mode Red, even though Mode Blue first appeared. Mode Red was seen as the primary. This was one of the coolest Zords. I love the way that it had multiple modes, not just, you know, individual vehicles, and then they all combine together into a robot. But they combine it together into a vehicle and then a robot, similar to the Dino Megazord having the tank formation. But then it also has an alternate robot that gives it a whole different visual look, and I think that's really cool. The downside to that is that Mode Blue looks incredibly skinny, and Mode Red looks incredibly chunky. I don't think there's very much like balance there. So I'm going to put this one in the B tier above the Zeo. And I like its functionality, but overall it looks kind of strange. Also visual cohesion, because they went and got that the Mode Red is mostly red and silver, and then the Mode Blue is mostly blue. But at the same time, you also do lose that idea of multiple things coming together. So it's one of the most streamlined color-wise of any Megazord I've ever seen. And while that is neat, I think it also is a detractor for the fact that you can't tell it was multiple parts coming together. It looks like it's just a Transformer at that point, instead of a Megazord. So next up, the Wild Force Megazord. Speaking of things coming together, this is an awesome design. I'm not a big fan of the animal head hands, which never really got corrected. That was, I think, a consistent thing along the Wild Force Zords, was that they all had like animal heads for hands. Nobody really had normal hands. It worked out because the sword and the shield still worked for the elephant. But the animal heads, I know it's a Lion, it's like Lion Force Voltron. It's like, it's like, oh, it's that bestial quality, but boy, does it look weird. Like they just couldn't figure out how to make hands work. I know the Ninja Megazord is up there in the S tier, but they gave, well, there is a wolf head and an ape head, and they have covers that go over it, so you have like a fist and a karate chop kind of thing. So that's why that's up there. It's not really animal heads. Here, I wish there was something a little bit more done with that. But the way that the chest comes together, where you have the eagle wings coming around the lion's head to give him like an extended mane, and then you have like that kind of totem pole effect of like the eagle, the lion, and the bison, is really cool. I really do like it. I think there's other Wild Force Megazords I like more. So I'm gonna put it in the A tier, just below Galaxy. That's just about there. Okay, so moving on to the Disney era, we have the Storm Megazord. Now, the Storm Megazord is a 3-component Megazord for a 6-person team, or at least a 5-person team initially, but it was also kind of 3 separate teams. I know Hurricaneer delved into that completely, giving them separate team names. This is where we start to get into the trend where the main 5 aren't part of the main mecha. So this is just the main 3, red, blue, and yellow, and I like it overall. I think that it's kind of strange that Yellow's lion makes up 80% of this. Like, the dolphin's just an arm, the hawk is just a head. It seemed like they designated animals to them before they designated like the mecha design. So the lion obviously is bigger than the dolphin, which is bigger than the hawk, and that's fine. But the thing is, I think that overall it does seem like, the Yellow Storm Ranger is doing or the Yellow Wind Ranger. Why is it not called the Wind Megazord? The Wind Rangers, the Yellow Wind Ranger, Red Wind Ranger, Blue Wind Ranger from the Wind Ninja Academy, and it's called the Storm Megazord. I think it should have been called the Wind Megazord, because the Thunder Megazord consistently goes all the Thunder stuff, but well, that's also a problem, because there already was a Thunder Megazord. Anyways, so with the Storm Megazord, I like it. I think I enjoy the toy more than I do enjoy the design. So I'm gonna put it in B. It's going in B. Okay, so that's a 3-person team, because it's kind of a little different season. All right, so let's go to Dino Thunder with the Thunderstorms Megazord, which I love the way that the names started getting more creative. It wasn't just part of title Megazord. This is Thunderstorms Megazord, which does have the thunder from Dino Thunder, but they amplified it to Thunderstorms. It's got a cool vibe to it. So the Thunderstorms Megazord, much like the Storm Megazord, is the Tyrannosaurus is doing most of the work. Blue is just an arm. Yellow is just an add-on. It's kind of weird that they went with this design element choice 2 years in a row, because they are very similar. And you can actually form... What's interesting, though, is you can form the Thunderstorms Megazord without the pterodactyl, which actually happened in the show. It just didn't have extra armor and it wasn't as powerful. But I like the overall design. I do like the sleekness of it. It does feel like one ranger is doing more of the work, even though, they had a shared cockpit, unlike Ninja Storm, where they had individuals where it felt like maybe Dustin was just like, oh god, I have to run everything. With the Dino Thunder, they had like the orb thing, and they were just like charging their energies and stuff, so maybe it balanced out a little bit. But overall, I think I'm a bigger fan of 5-part mechas. I mean, like, it kind of worked out because then they started making the Dino Stegazord sort of like Tommy and Trent's Megazord after a certain point, because that Brachio was not battle ready. That thing was just to carry stuff. So I think I'm with the Thundersaurus. It's going to go top of B. Just the top of B. I've put nothing in C so far. That'll change, but there's currently nothing there. All right, so we got the Delta Squad Megazord next. Definitely one of my favorites. It also comes from that same thing with Lightspeed Rescue, where you have a carrier mecha. So I don't know if the Delta Squad is my favorite of the Megazords from SPD, but I really do like it a lot. It's kind of neat because they did go with a red, they went with a white color scheme, and then they have red accents. So the Siren color's red, and then yellow, pink, blue, and green get stripes to represent their colors. So when you look at it, you can see a team of 5 are piloting it, which I think is really cool. So that gives it a nice visual cohesion. It's got a lot of great weapon options. The pistol's really cool. I think having a small weapon on a Megazord is really neat, and they don't do that enough. Plus, he's got like the RoboCop thing going on with the leg, which I love because I'm a RoboCop fan. So this one's gonna go, I think, it's gonna go top of A. It's gonna edge out Lightspeed a little bit. I do really like it. It's not gonna go on the top. The next one is, though. So the Titan Megazord. Again, mixing up the names. I think the toy is Mystic Titan Megazord, but officially it's the Titan Megazord. So this was really cool because, so like from a nerd perspective, I love Megazords that combine multiple Megazords together, but I love when Megazords have an alternate combination. With things like the Dino Megazord, you have it. It's kind of just like sitting down, chilling, going pew pew pew. With what was another alternate combination? I'm trying to think now. With Time Force Megazord, it turned into a triangle, which is pretty neat. The Mystic Titan Megazord, or the Titan Megazord, is really nice and cohesive. It does seem like green is doing a bit of the work, but he's getting boosted by blue, boosted by yellow on the back, getting red and pink up front. It does balance out nicely, and they turn into a dragon. Without red, red just kind of stays off to the side and then rides the dragon. But the fact that you have like a humanoid robot Megazord that's made up of a Garuda, a mermaid, a centaur, and a fairy, and a phoenix warrior that then can combine 4 of those into a dragon, and the phoenix warrior can ride on the back of it like it's his majestic steed. Straight up to S tier. This is so much my jam, and it's amazing because I didn't watch Mystic Force when it first aired. I thought the magic theme didn't work with Power Rangers because I was used to the tech side, but going back to it, probably like right after I was watching Overdrive, actually, I went back to Mystic Force because in reruns, and I was like, oh my god, this Megazord is amazing. It turns into a dragon. And then I ended up watching Mystic Force in full later, and I ended up getting a really good deal on all the Zord toys. I'm really glad I did because they've gotten really expensive. One of my favorite seasons now, ironically. It was one I didn't want anything to do with, but it's now one of my favorites. And that Titan Megazord is so cool, and no Megazord's done it since. And even then, no Megazord has used those animals since. None of these others have fairies or mermaids or anything like that. It's really cool. They didn't just go with, you know, the same animals we usually get. They were like, let's just do... And they're all humanoids, too. They're like humanoid hybrids with mythical creatures, which is amazing. I love it. I love Mystic Force's Zords. Even if they don't combine and they take up a ton of shelf space, I love them. Let's go to the Drive Max Megazord. So the Drive Max Megazord from Overdrive, another one of those that uses, you know, similar kind of shapes. Dump truck does most of it. Arms, head, torso. Like, I feel like the gyro and the car just don't get much to do. They just kind of slap on there and they're just shields. Pretty cool. I like the pickaxe and the shovel that combine into the sword. But overall, it's not one of my favorites. I think I'm gonna kind of put it probably just above Ninja Storm. Its carrier formation's cool. Just like, oh, I forgot to mention, Zeo Megazord has a carrier formation. I kind of forget because it's just 2 of them dragging the others. But yeah, it's kind of neat, but not one of my favorites. All right, Jungle Pride Megazord. So once again, red is taking up the bulk of the Megazord, but you get, you know, the 2 Rangers as legs for yellow and blue, and you get the coolest, like, Hong Kong martial arts mecha Megazord ever. And I really like it. I love how my S, A, and B are all even. Nothing's in D yet. One thing's in D, nothing's in C. The Jungle Pride Megazord, this one's gonna, like, design-wise, super sleek, super cool. 3 animals combining, which isn't, you know, the full team, but they didn't add their 4th and 5th Rangers till after they even got their upgrades, so that's fine. I really like this one, and I'm gonna just stick it. Like, here's the thing. So, like, toy-wise, I don't think there's ever been a really great Jungle Pride Megazord toy. I've really wanted, like, a highly articulated action figure or something. But design-wise and its usefulness in the show, that one's gonna go right below the Astro Megazord in my S tier, because that was one of the most fun and exciting Megazord fights ever. Period. Great. I love it. All right, next up, the High Octane Megazord, the totem pole, as you can see there. So this one was kind of interesting because I really love the RPM Ultrazord, but I don't know if I like any of its individual components as much. I think probably my favorite one was the Mach Megazord, because that one was like more streamlined. But when the thing with this line was it was fun as toys, but when you look at the designs, it's goofy, it's weird. The anime eyes are not my problem. My problem is just like, it seems a little just like, all right, Zord, Zord, Zord. And that was all the combination. And again, it gets more complicated when you start adding in other elements. And I think the other mecha later on are better. But this Megazord is just stacking Zords. It's not that exciting. And I love the season. I love the toys when they get all together. But this one's going in the C. That one's going to be the first C tier. Just not a huge fan. Alright, so Samurai Megazord. Now the Samurai Megazord, also known as Shinkeno, comes from the first Sentai I watched, which is Shinkenger. And I love it. I love the fact that you have like the origami modes that turn into the animals, that turn into the Megazord. And I like the sword and shield and the whole samurai vibe. I think it really does come together cohesively. And I like that the yellow and pink Zords are silver and black so that they match each other, so there's visual symmetry. But then they also have their own accent colors for the symbol part of it. So this one I'm going to put an A. Let's put it... Yep, that's going above Lightspeed. See, there you go. Nostalgia's not winning today. Yeah, so that one's cool. Alright, Gosei Great Megazord. Where do I start with this? This thing's weird. Okay, so animal heads for hands, once again. I didn't mention this with the Thunderstorms Megazord. It's also why it's a little lower. Because it's got a drill and a Triceratops shield. But you can take those off and there's hands underneath, so there's that. But, Gosei Great Megazord is... I don't know how to describe it, because it feels very slapdash. Again, just weird things like the snake is just a little bit longer than the tiger, so they combine, where you have to, like, the snake is like the thigh. I don't know if I love it, and I don't know if I hate it. It's not one where I'm like, oh, I have the American toy, I want the Japanese one, because it's so cool. Like Shinkeno, I wanted the Japanese release as well. I'm just going to put this one bottom of B? No, I'm going to stick it in C. I'm going to put it above the high octane, but not a huge fan. Just not really. Okay, next up, Legendary Megazord. Since the Super Mega Force season, the Rangers switched over to Legendary Megazord primarily. This one's tough. This one's just Voltron. It is the torso, arm, leg, which is the Go Lion Voltron, which is the Scramble City Transformer. It's the most boring combination pattern, I think, for me, because I own all the Combiner Wars / Power of the Primes / Select / Unite Warriors of all the Scramble City Combiner Transformers. I've good with leg, arm, torso. I have a Soul Chogokin Lion Voltron. I'm good with leg, arm, torso. So I think that this one's a little boring. I think the cool part about it is that the panels open up and they can like fire cannons, or the panels can open up and there'll be another Zord inside, which is cool. But I think on its own, it's just, yeah, it's going to be above Gosei Great, but it's still a C. I think it's also, it just feels a little boring. All right. Back to Zords, where red is doing most of the work. We got Dino Charge Megazord Tristego formation. This one is frustrating, because in Dino Charge and in Kyoryuger, they gathered their team a little slower, but they didn't really build up to getting a 5-part Megazord. They were just like, oh, we got 3 of them, boom, there's your Megazord, which is fine. Except then green and black just start hanging out in this thing, and they don't have components of the Zords. So I'm like, why are you hanging out in the cockpit? Just go be on the ground. Watch out for extra Viveks running around. I don't know. I think the toy-wise, it's not also, like, I don't know, I had bad experience with the Kyoryugen toy. Every single thing that could break on that has broken on me. And I like the integration of the Dino Chargers. But as a design, it's a little wild. I like the Samba look. That's not my problem. I think my problem is the fact that because so much of it's the T-Rex, and so much of it could have been, you could have incorporated black and green into it to give it kind of like, hey, here's the 5 members working together. So I think that one's going to go low B, I think. No, that one's going to go high C. Because I'm seeing what I want my low B to be. It's coming up. So, yeah. Yeah, I think none of the... Okay, so we're down to 5. None of these are cracking the top 10 or top 12. Never did this. All right. So let's talk about the Ninja Steel Megazord. God, what a weird design. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the dump truck is the torso and the arm. The dragon is an arm. Red is the pilot. The train is most of the legs and the hips, and then the dog is... Okay, so, like, it's got the same problem that Gosei Great Megazord has. Confusing things. Okay, so first of all, the train makes most of the legs, except for the dog. Also for the fact that, like, it's a dump truck, a dragon, a ninja man, a train, and a dog for a ninja theme season. And I think there was, like, something said that was, like, it's supposed to be, like, a Sentai thing. Kind of like how Legendary Megazord is a pirate ship, a car, a jet, truck, and a boat. Because those, like, the most common Sentai vehicles. And it was an anniversary series. This one, it was, like, not an anniversary. This is before the anniversary, and it's just a mismatch. I think the dragon, the dog, and the ninja man work. It's the train and the dump truck that I'm just like, you just did this because you ran out of ideas. And the fact that dump truck is the, like, core torso and an arm is weird. And yeah, and it's got kind of, like, it's supposed to have, like, kind of this... It's kind of like it's a samurai thing, I thought. The sit in the throne and look over the troops thing, but it's a ninja themed season. And it, as a toy, I enjoy it because it's kind of wild and different. And I know I talked about Legendary being too boring, but this one's too all over the place. The shuriken head thing is also kind of weird. The combinations it has are bizarre. When you get to, like, the Ninja Steel Ultra Zord, it's just Zord sitting inside Megazord sitting inside bigger Megazord, and that's just, yeah, it's going in D. It's edging out weird CG Megazord, but it's going in D. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of visual cohesion, the 2017 movie Megazord. I don't want to talk about this one, guys. Alright, like, regardless of its use in the movie, the movie robbed me of one thing in particular that I love about Power Rangers. Megazord combination sequences. They're really fun. Especially ones that were done with models, because it's interesting to look at. But it's fun seeing the Megazord come together. It's part of the staple. The Megazord here combines by all the Zords getting pushed into a pit of fire, and then emerges the Megazord. Because someone on the production team designed 5 Zords, and then designed a Megazord apparently as completely separate objects. Because there is no physical way those Zords combine into whatever that thing is. And it's funny, too, for a movie that has a completely CG Megazord, it looks like just a guy in a suit with some light armor. And that's why the Bandai toy, as much as I actually like the Bandai toy more than I do this. I have the Legacy Build-A-Figure one to, like, represent how it's supposed to look, but the Bandai 2-foot-tall monstrosity that, like, tanked in stores, and I understand why, I actually like that design better, because it has color cohesion. Like, this has the color sprinkled, like, oh, that's where this went and that where that it. But no, the Bandai toy designers had to make up a new design because the people making the movie had no idea how to make a Megazord. And that sucks. So that's why it's going in D below, this is where I was talking about the transformation sequence, below movie Ninja Megazord. That is the part that bugs me, that we don't know how that thing combines because it's physically impossible. Okay, next up, Hyperforce. I know people debate whether it's a season or not, but hey, it ran longer than some other seasons. It was 26 episodes, and its Megazord's really cool, and I want to talk about it. The Chronos Hyperforce Megazord, we have, like, one piece of key art, and then we have one panel of a comic book. In Hyperforce itself, it was discussed that each of the Rangers' Zords could become the torso and make a new combination, a la Voltron Force. And yeah, if you look at this combination, you've got, you know, I think it's the 5 Zords where it's like this, the blue is the arm and leg, yellow's a leg, black's an arm, red's the torso, and then pink's the wings on the back. But then each of them could become the torso, and then they also incorporated the Serpent Zord. And there's not art for any of this, and I wish there was. I wish someone would just illustrate Hyperforce, because it's really neat. There's a lot of cool ideas. Being a tabletop RPG series, naturally, they kind of came up with stuff on the fly. But there was a consistency to the fact that, like, you could have different combinations of the Hyperforce Megazord, and I really like that. It's never going to work as a toy because of that, But I did like it. I did enjoy it, and I think that has a cool idea. Unfortunately, with a lack of visual reference, I can't really put it any higher than, I think I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's going to go above Legendary. It's a little more interesting. Not as cool as Dino Charge. But I like the idea behind it. It's something to explore in the future. Okay, so next up we have the Beast, what is this one? The Beast X Megazord. So for a chunk of the show, they just had, this was like 4 or 5 episodes, they had just the Red Racer Zord in its Warrior mode be the Megazord. But they got the Beast X Megazord pretty quick, and it is the primary combination of the primary 3 Rangers. Since Gold and Silver came later, it's not too bad of a problem. So with the primary 3 combining into the Beast X Megazord, I think that, honestly, Go Busters was weird and different on purpose, and I think that was fine. And I think the mecha don't translate into toys well, but it's kind of fun to see these like super fast mecha or Zords, like where you have like the car speeding in, then transforms into a cheetah, and then transforms into a robot. And then their combination sequence is very super robot-y, where they're like, you know, floating parts together, and then they just combine together. And overall, I do really like it. So it's going in B. It's just going to go right at the end of B. I like it a lot. I wish there was a good toy of it. I think the Hasbro one's a little unsteady, but at least it doesn't shatter like the Go Busters one. But yeah, I'm going to put that in B. Alright, so we come down to the last one, which is the Dino Fury Megazord. Again, didn't go with the T-Rex Champion Zord's robot or warrior mode, which is kind of the primary Megazord. I'm just squeaking it out to make it a little more interesting by adding the Tricera and the Ankylosaurus. Just like with the Dino Charge Megazord, this is a team of 5 pretty early on. We're talking like with Dino Fury, it was like episode 4, I think, when Izzy and Javi joined the team. And so when you start like, when you have like mostly a 5-person team, but then the Megazord only represents 3 of them, because they have a 5 Zord combination too. And I'm glad that Dino Fury spaced out the introduction of the Zords so this didn't feel as weird. And I think the High Octane Megazord, I forgot to mention this too. They had Ziggy and Dylan on team before episode 5. So again, also, why was that not just a 5-part combiner? So I think that this is also the same case, and I think even more so because they showed up earlier than others. See, like with the Beast X Megazord, they got that combo before, like several episodes before Nate and Steel joined the team. So you have 3 were active at the time. This was 3 were active at the time, but they had 4 and 5 rolling right next to them. So it bugs me that it's not the full team. It bugs me also that the 5-part, I can't remember the name at the moment, the show's too new. The 5-part that adds green and black is an unsightly mess, and they don't use it primarily. So I'm going to stick the Dino Fury Megazord in C. That'll be wrapping it all up. Wow, this... So, it's funny how I was able to split these evenly, minus D tier, obviously. So, yeah, 6 in each. I just took a step back, and I was like, oh, wait a second. There are 6. There are 6 in each tier. Okay, so this is my Megazord tier list. If you agree with it, cool. If you don't, cool. This is just what my personal picks. So I guess my top 5 is Titan, Thunder, Astro, Jungle Pride, Ninja, Dino, Delta Squad, Samurai, Lightspeed, Turbo. And then there's 2 more in A tier, because I didn't make it like 5 on each. But I could have been harder on myself and probably spaced it out more. But I actually kind of like how even this bracket is. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this, because I think that I do like a lot of Megazords. Obviously, the top 2 tiers are my favorites. I like a lot in B tier. The C tier are also kind of like, you know, I don't mind those. D tier is the ones where I go, what were you thinking? So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I may revisit this topic as time goes on, maybe with the toys themselves next time. But let me know in the comments what you want to see. I will probably do a tier list for Power Rangers seasons once I finish Dino Fury Season 1. So, yeah, that's that. That's the list. I'm going to roll on out of here because I've been talking for 45 minutes. And I think that's plenty to talk about these Megazords. So let me know in the comments what other tier lists you'd like me to see. would you like me to make for you to see? I left out a ton of words there. I'm taking suggestions. I'll do them. These are not hard to do, honestly. But they'd be more emotionally taxing. I think the Digimon one took a lot out of me, but this one's not too bad. So I'm wrapping it up. Till next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.